In this video, you're going to learn how to scrape data from multiple pages using Scrapy. Okay, we'll continue using this relative URL, but it will work the same with absolute URLs. So far, we're yielding a response that follows the link that we got in the previous video. Each link contains population data of a specific country. Okay, first we have to set a parse function that scrapes all the data of the country links. Now in parentheses, I set as an argument self and response. Now I add this function as an argument in the response that follow. So I write callback equal to self that and then the name of the function. So parse underscore country. So what this callback is gonna do is call this parse underscore country every time it goes to a new link. And then with the parse underscore country function, we're going to scrape the data inside that page or link. Now let's go to the website to build the XPath that will help us get the data we want. So first, let's click on this country to get the page that we're going to scrape. So here we have the page of this country, and here it's the table of the population over the past 20 years, I guess. So now I'm gonna inspect this page. So I right click and then click on inspect. So here I inspect the table and we got this element. Now if we scroll up a bit, we can see that all this table is inside a div element that has a table responsive attribute. And below we can see that the table we want is inside this table element. Inside this element you can see the header and the body of the table and also the rows. So we have to build an XPath to locate this table element. Okay, to build the XPath, first we have to copy this long attribute name. And then I press Ctrl F and I start building the XPath with double slash, then the tag name, which is table, and then I open square brackets. Then I write at class equal to, and then I paste the attribute name inside quotes. Then on the right, we can see that two elements match because there are two tables with the same XPath. One is the historical population and the other the forecast. So we only want the historical population. So what we're going to do is to add square brackets to select one element. But first we have to add parentheses to the XPath. So we add parentheses and then we add square brackets with the number 1 that represents the table with the historical population. And now only one element match and it's the table we want. Okay, now to get to the population data, we have to follow this sequence. First, we have to get to the t-body element. And then inside this element is the tr element. This element represents the rows of the table. And inside this element is the td with the data we want. So let's locate these t-body and tr elements. So in the XPath we add slash t-body to get to the t-body child element. And then to get to the tr, we add a slash and then tr. Then on the right, we can see that 18 elements match. Each element represents a year with population data. As you can see, I can navigate through each year because each of them is inside a row. Now back to PyCharm, and here I'm going to create a new rows variable. But first, I'm going to create the XPath. So I write response.xpath and inside parentheses, I paste the XPath that we built. Now you can keep this long XPath or you can rewrite it using the contains function. So I'm going to use the first attribute name table to create a second XPath using the contains function. So here it is. The XPath is similar, but just I make it shorter with the contains function. So I said, if the element contains a class with attribute name table, match that element, and the rest of the XPath remains the same. Feel free to choose the one you want. I'm gonna choose the second one, so I'm gonna comment out the first, and now I'm gonna create the rows variable. So I write rows equal to, and then I'm gonna loop through the rows list. So I write for row in rows, and then colon, and then I press enter. So I'm going to scrape the years in the population. So first I create the year variable. So I write year equal to row.xpath. So I'm going to use this row as a context. Then I go to the browser, and here let's see how we can locate this year data. So the XPath that we have now matches the rows, so the TR elements that you can see now. If we open this TR element, we can see that it contains the year we want inside a TD element. And the second TD element contains the population we want. So the first contains the year, and the second TD contains the population. Keep in mind that the population is also inside a tag that has the name strong. Now let's build the XPath of these elements. Okay, now to locate the year, we're going to write inside parentheses that represents that we're using the current row context, and then double slash. Then we write TD square brackets 1. And finally, we add a slash text with parentheses to get the text. Then outside the XPath, we write that get with parentheses. Okay, with this, we have the first TD element. Now I duplicate this to create the population variable. And now I'm going to change the XPath. So I write TD square brackets with the number 2, and between the TD element and the text, I add the strong element. As you might remember, this element is inside the TD and contains the population. Next, I yield both elements. So I write yield, then open curly braces, and then I define the first key. Then I add colon and write the year variable. Now comma, and here I write the second key, which is population. So I write population and then the variable 2. Now let's open up a terminal to run the spider. So I write the command scrapy crawl and then worldometers. Then I press enter and wait until this is finished. Okay, now let's scroll up and let's see the results. So here we can see the data for the population of the US. If we keep scrolling up, we can see the population of other countries like Spain and Colombia. Now let's store the data into a JSON file. So we write the same command, and now we add -o and we write the name of the JSON file we want to create. So I write population.json. And then I press enter. So now we wait. And now it's done. So we go to PyCharm and let's open the population.json file. So I double click on it, and here's the file with the data we extracted. So here we have the year and the population. So we successfully scraped the page. But as you can see, one variable is missing, the country. So let's add some lines of code to get the country. So we go back to the spider, and here in the response.follow, we're gonna add a new argument, the meta argument. So we write meta equal to and then open curly braces. And here we're gonna write the key of the country. Then I write colon and set it to the country underscore name variable. The country key can have any name. For example, I can set it to only country. Now I create a country variable equal to response.request.meta. This meta is the meta attribute we added before. So now inside the square brackets, I'm going to write the country key. So I write country inside quotes. With this, we got the country underscore name from the meta argument. Now let's yield this country variable. So we add a country key and then we set it to the country variable. So we write country colon country. Finally, a recap. So this country underscore name is what we got here from the first for loop. So this one. And the country key, it's just the key from the meta argument. And we call this key in the parse underscore country function. So we call it with response.request.meta, and here we call the country key with square brackets. And we set this to the country variable, as you can see here. And finally, we yield this country variable so we can see the results in the terminal and also in the CSV file or JSON file we're going to create. Okay, let's open up a terminal to run this spider. So we write the same command, but now I'm going to change the name of the JSON file to population_2.json. Then I press enter and we wait until this is finished. Now this is done, so we go to PyCharm and open this population_2.json. So I double click on this file, and here we can see the data, and now we have the country data. For example, this is the population of the country China in the year 2020, and we have also other years. And if we scroll down, we can see the population of other countries throughout the years. So we scraped around 4,000 rows. And that's it. In this video, you'll learn how to scrape multiple pages of a website using scraping.